Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, the delicious Rob Lee. I like to give myself new superlatives, new thing I'm doing. So today, my guest is, I'll say my next guest is a living testament to how long one can live, one can be alive, one can stay alive after doing so much dumb stuff. Not really much of a bio there, it's just a way of existing. They're also, this guest can also be seen in and around Baltimore slinging everything from pies to elixirs and can grow a damn fine beard. Please welcome Jerrod Bronson. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I like to prefer myself to the succulent Jerrod Bronson, the enigmatic Jerrod Bronson, the legend in his own time Jerrod Bronson. But you know what? I like to be modest and humble about it. So I'll just say, yours truly, Jerrod Bronson. So thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Thanks, dude.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I throw out different superlatives. Wave Daddy is out there in the universe right now. One of the aliases. I started writing down some of my bits. Rob of the Baltimore Lees. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. But I feel like we were giving part of the conversation before we actually hit the record button. But I want to start off with what's the story? Like, ultimately, let's talk about a little bit about, where'd you grow up? What were some of the creative or interesting things you were into growing up? And, I want to start off there. And then I have a few other questions after that. But let's start off there.
No problem. So born and raised Baltimore City, grew up on Liberty Heights. Went to Hilton, School 28 when I was a little kid. Then I moved around the city and the county a lot. Probably like my very first passion, I guess you'd say, would be reading comic books, actually. Like, I remember being a little kid and on our way to Hilton, my brother and I, we'd stop by the 7-Eleven right by the school in the morning. And we usually ran late, as one does. And I would pick up copies of Spider-Man and What If and everything. And I just always was fascinated by story arcs and hero developments and a lot of fiction. So I used to read about mythology as a kid. I read back in the day, you used to have these little small mini books of classic novels. I remember reading Moby Dick as a kid and reading the whole being really, really, really interested into the story of how Ishmael got himself upon the boat and everything, and just learning about different cultures and learning about different mythologies and religion. And so I guess I suppose the whole mythology of people and gods and men and heroes and monsters and things of that sort always kind of interested me. And then as I got older, 80s cartoons were always the pinnacle of Saturday morning philosophy. So I'd watch G.I. Joe and I'd watch Thundercats, Silverhawks, basically all the cartoons that had the best toys, essentially. But used to watch wrestling, 80s wrestling at the time was the pinnacle of heroes and monsters, good guys versus bad guys. And always just there's that balance, man. There's that balance in the universe. But, sometimes you had to your anti-heroes, and sometimes the ones that were in that little gray zone, because you realize, at a young age, it's there's right, there's wrong, but there's also, there's that gray area. And it's gray, that gray. I definitely live in that gray a little bit, because sometimes what's good for one might be good for another. It's about, trying to balance that out. So, I grew up actually also growing up in the church too at a very young age. You basically listen to a lot of a lot of the analogies, a lot of the parables, from the Bible, and just apply those and just go, okay, I believe that story, but the context of that is scientifically wrong.
Yeah.
But you know what? We'll just go with that. We'll just go with what you're telling me. But it's okay, yeah, I'm not going to chop a baby in half. That seems very messy and unnecessary. So let's just skip over that one. Some of these other things make a little bit more sense at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning when I am just barely waking up.
Hold on. That was the way you described that was very similar. It's almost the addendum to the John Mulaney piece about that. He's like, yeah, you take the top part of the baby. It's ridiculous. And the gray area, I got two favorite colors. I know it's technically cheating if you have more than one favorite, but it's probably ox blood or maroon or something like that. The blood of my enemies, and gray. because I really do believe in that sort of gray area. It's always 3. It's always an odd number. You know what I mean? There's got to be something in the middle.
You know what? We already have too much in common right now. It's kind of off-putting, but I enjoy it. Like already, like you and I have, like it's one of those. This is the Club Black Nerd, sidekick of each other that we haven't talked to yet. So it's one of those. After this interview, we're going to start like having like chop up days where we're just like chilling back, just talking shit and having a drink somewhere. Just going, well, I think like the 89 version of this character was different from like the 93 version of this character. Think, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, bro, totally.
Right. So definitely, we already have a lot more in common right now already. That's funny. That's real funny.
Absolutely, and I think like, like I remember I think you had I think Liv maybe reached out to me when Liv was doing some of the work, I think, at the door doing auto bar or what have you. And I was like, who's the guy with the beard, the black dude with the beard? And she was like, oh, yeah, like he's like you. That was literally what she said. I was like, all right. And I was like, I got to meet this dude. And that was literally what happened. So I'll be remiss. I kind of touched on the job a little bit. So tell me about some of the jobs that you've had, because you're kind of like almost a mythical creature in some regards. Like you're here slinging pie, you're here slinging cocktails, you're making elixirs. I think I've seen, some DJ stuff. And so what are some of the things that you've done, some of the jobs that you've had where people may have like seen you? And in that, what was one of the weirdest jobs you've had?
Okay. So my very first job I ever had was I was, 15, 16 years old, working at Cinnabon in Owings Mills Mall. And I was working there because at the time I was in a band with this cat, Tim, who lived in Owings Mills with me at the time. And I met him through, I guess, like friends of friends, what have you. And he was like a high school dropout. He was managing Cinnabon, and he was doing a little crusty punk rock band. And we met, started talking. I agreed to play drums. I was also just like, hey, dude, if you're hiring too, I mean, I'm still in school, but I'm like, I'm already in my own brain going, I'm 16, I need to get a job, I need to start making some money, so I can actually start, moving out and doing my own thing, because I am, this whole living with my parents thing while she's working, it's like, I need to be on my own now. I need to start getting my own bread and get my stuff together now. So I started working at Cinnabon, and with that was just me, like, chilling back there, not rolling for shit. It was like one of those, I have dumb thumbs, so I can't roll a Cinnabon to save my life, but I can work the register and be charismatic. So I basically just became this like mouthpiece, just talking smack and just like, bringing people in, just, making my job fun at the expense of sometimes having to like, embarrass other people. Mostly retail most of my life. Like after that, worked at a music store, a couple of places here and there. The weirdest job, I can tell you this absolutely certain. The weirdest job I ever had was I was 19 and I worked at a porn store on Baltimore Street from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And just the people that would come out there, not at 11 o'clock, not at midnight, but at 3 a.m. The amount of dudes that would walk in there going, yeah, I'm working on a paper. I don't care, dude. Just the movies are over there. Just go look at what you want to find. It's like, we're working on this paper. You need to find Bridget the dwarf versus like King Dong, whatever. Yeah, it's aisle 3. Just don't give me excuses. We're both here for a reason. I'm here to make money. You're here to spend money. Just, I don't need to know your backstory, dog. It's like, I don't need to know the prequel or the origins to whatever weird shit you're getting into. Just give me the money and walk away. That's all I need to know. But I was kind of just found myself into like various jobs, just going, because also too, like within my time growing up, like I started writing, and I went to Carver for writing, and I just, again, with the comic books and the reading and everything at a young age, I started writing my own stories and creating my own worlds and everything. So it's just like being into this whole pre-Tom Waits-ish type of Langston Hughes, but at the same time meets like Bukowski, Harlem Renaissance, derelict type of thing, where it's just like, I gotta create, I gotta be within the world and see like the weirdness and all the just the wackiness and the wild shit that happens in society, and just kind of like condense it to paper with my eyes and my views. Yeah. So that was this porn store, and the thing was that before I even went to Carver, it was my eighth grade English teacher, David Nicholson. To this day, he is still one of the heroes of my life. And he's the one that actually wrote my Assistant Letter Carver. He was the one that he would teach the class, and he would also like have his own personality, his own character. So you have to like talk to him and get to know him as a person and a teacher. And he had mentioned to me at one point mentioned to the class at one point how, during the summertime, he goes to New York and bartends. And I was like, bartender, that sounds perfect. That sounds weird and wild. And I think that was like the first thing that kind of got me into like wanting to be a bartender when I grew up. And even the first bar I worked at, that wasn't until I was maybe 23, 24. And at that time I was working at before that. I worked as a bartender / barista at Adonna's, and then I worked at like the Mechanic Theater before that closed down. And then I started bar backing at Shorty's when I was managing at Paris and Perk, a coffee shop down Eastern in Milton that has since closed down. But I was working at DJ Philgood's bar Shorty's with a friend, Mike Gallagher, that was teaching me how to bartend. And then Auto Bar came about just like on a random Tuesday in 2004. I went there one afternoon with Pat Martin, and we went there just to get like a happy hour cocktail or whatever. Talked to the bartender at the time, Shannon Gallagher, who is still family, love her to death. I think she's in Colorado now, and she was there bartending, and the other manager there, Brian, was there, and just walked up to Shannon and was like, "Are you guys looking for a bartender or anything?" And she goes, "Talk to the manager." Talk to the manager. I'm like, "Hey, so you guys need a bartender?" And he says, "When can you start?" Tomorrow. That Wednesday, walked in, worked happy hour. That was 2004, and I've been there ever since. But nice. It's always been just for me, just kind of like just walking into, sometimes on purpose, sometimes like accidentally, just walking into opportunity, or just taking the opportunity when it happens and just seeing what happens, just kind of going with it. But the bartending I've actually been seeing, it's been, for me, it's been the best job in a way where I get to, nothing's ever the same. Each night there's always something different. Each night there's always like, you meet someone new, or you hear about some new event, especially with a live music venue too. I've been exposed to so much more music and culture that, that a guy like me from Baltimore City has never ever seen before.
Right. And
it's been really, really eye-opening, and been very, 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 not only lucrative, but also been very, very, very just amazing to witness like talent and see people of all walks of life. And also too, as a Black punk rocker, see like representation, even from back in the day of artists that look like me, that may like act like me, that talk like me, and actually play music. Which is like, you're playing the music that I listen to. Yeah. And like, I know about me, I'm not sure about you, but I know with me, and like I know a lot of other cats like us growing up, being Black and being into like, punk rock or subcultures was called being quote unquote white, which is like, y'all know we made the music, right? Like y'all know that blues, rock and roll, we made this, right? Oh no, y'all are just dumb and only listen to like the same like 5 or 6 trap motherfuckers all the time. Where just like, yes, rap is also something that we did, but it's not all this. It's not the combined efforts of decades of centuries of oppression, and we make the music of struggle, of adversity, of overcoming, of striving. We made the soundtrack for this country, for God's sake, It's like we have to appreciate every chord.
I think somewhere James Spooner is like just like doing backflips right now. this notion of like, and I believe it, like punk is Black music, and really like that being a big chunk of what his like career has been, and having you on here, saying that and kind of being that sort of representation of it. Like when I think of that, I'm thinking of like you. I'm thinking of like, I stalk your Charm City is burned. Charm City is burned. I stalk your IG, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what my man's is doing. I see what that dude is doing.
Yeah, dude. There's like cats like dudes like Quincy and Cian that were part of Uncle Jesse, who are fucking so amazingly great DJs. You got Akil and Endit just blowing the fuck up right now. Like the Cat Frez in Turnstile. He's fucking killing on base, and they're like, I think they're probably on TV right now. As a matter of fact, like there's more representation that we have going on right now, and it's just like, oh, we don't have to think, like a lot of cats are going like, we saw Pharrell on the skateboard back in 2000, that created Black Punks, right? It's like, no, we've always been here. Just now it's more in the mainstream. It's no longer just a subculture. Now it's actually just, oh, hold on, it's just culture. There you go. Like just accept it. Like this has always been here. Y'all just now just not being so how can I put this? Fucking dim about it. It's like
so with that, I think I think that there, it's a nice segue point here, right? Where we look at what is, like how do we define, like what are some of the things that define like a culture specifically here in Baltimore? Like, from your vantage point, you're working in, you've worked in various local haunts and you've been here forever, big personality. It's like, people know who you are. So in it, like from your vantage point and being a person that, as you touched on, seeing so much different stuff, being at Auto Bar as long as you have, coming up on 20 years or what have you. And so tell me about that. Like, what are some of the things that define a culture specifically here in Baltimore?
I'll tell you what, one thing is for certain, and this actually is going to sound a little bit of a diss, but I mean, just prove me wrong in this statement. But we're like, Baltimore to this day is still very, 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 very segregated by its own design. Not only by how areas of town are planned out and everything, but also mentality of a lot of people. Like, for example, you have a lot of heads that are living down further parts of Baltimore City that move up. It's just like, they didn't get to see so much, so much like multiculturalism in one spot. And it's like one of those, oh, y'all got these people here, but these people, it's like, yeah, this is what, a general society can do. It's just not just, stuck to adhering to stereotypes and one just, base point and just living off of that. It's like, no, you can be more than what, than what a demographic tells you to be. You can be more than what your shopping preferences or what radio station you listen to tells you to be if you want to. I mean, you can still stick to being some mouth breathing goon, just not figuring things out. That's all you. You can be willfully ignorant, or you can allow yourself to open up and discover more things. Yeah. As a black male at the Auto Bar, the amount of times I had people tell me to my face, I didn't think they'd have what do you mean? What do you mean? A loud guy? Being loud, right? Loud guy, a big guy, a sexy guy. Yeah. It's like, okay, I can hear stupidity in the back of your head. It's okay. We're allowed to do things now, and just watch generally a white guy just go, oh, I know what you meant. It's okay. Here's the thing: black people can do a lot of different things. Much like we can actually have, white people become the best rapper or somehow be elite basketball players. Black men can work at punk rock venues and do punk rock shit too, my dude. So just moved on. But it's weird how even to this day it's with you figure that again I grew up born in 1980. In the 90s, you figure things were being more culturally acceptable and more branching out of different ideas and music and culture and things of that sort. But at the same time, it both stretched out and then collapsed back into itself, or became more insular and people gatekeeping over the dumbest shit. It's just if you like something, just don't be an asshole and just accept it, and just don't. What I'm saying is, don't allow yourself to be criticized or ridiculed because something that you like is, supposedly not part of your culture, which is just bullshit, And I think a lot of cats had to deal with that most of their lives. I remember a cat. This would be a quick little anecdote. Yeah, I remember a cat back in high school. This cat was in an art school class. And it's an art class. It's an art class. And this cat, I'm wearing my brother's hand-me-downs because my mom was a single parent raising two boys. She didn't have all the money in the world. So I'm wearing a baggy shirt, black t-shirt, a pair of gray pants or whatever. And this dude's just like, yo, Jerrod, why are you dressed so bummy, yo? Let me take you to the mall. We'll buy someone fresh shit, buy someone hot shit, buy some blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I hear what you're saying. You need to dress more black. Okay, I get that. Here's the deal. You have two parents, right? Yeah. Okay, that's your first fuck up. Single parent raises 2 kids. Your parents have good jobs, right? Yeah. My mother's busting her ass working like 80 hours a day in the post office. So she's working a lot and then some. So she ain't got no money. So, by the way, do you know who Screaming Jay Hawkins is? Do you know who Holland Wolf are? Do you know Muddy Waters? Do you know Cab Calloway? Do you know Lewis Jordan? Do you know, I'm just throwing names of this dude. And he goes, no. Okay, you think these are all black men that played music, that played rock and roll, that played big band, that played the music that predated the music I listen to now. You listen to some bullshit, which also at the same time were made established by these artists as well that create the sound that you listen to today. Right. We just took 2 different lanes. Now, if you want to go ahead and call me out some shit, do your fucking homework, you dumbass, and just shut him down in the class. It's like the second period of the day. So granted, I didn't have my coffee yet, but the rage from that comment woke me the fuck up. It was one of those, I'm going to go on your ass. And the funny thing is, the rest of that year, him and I didn't say anything to each other. But yet, fast forward to 2000, I remember the day, it was 2014, I'm working a bar in Fells Point. And keep in mind too, at this time, grown ass man. I got 2 forearms full of tattoos and everything. Listen to punk rock, still being me, still just talking shit and being pretty. That same dude walked into my bar wearing a Bob Marley t-shirt, a couple bullshit tattoo parties, quarter sleeves on him and everything like that. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey, what's up? Mr. Anderson's art class, high school, right? Owens Mills. He goes, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny. You look a lot like me. Like you look like how I look. But here's the thing, your tattoos are bummy. Let me take you out to a place that has good tattoos and we do some good work. Because you look kind of sloppy right now. He's like, fuck. It's like, here are your jello shots, fuck off. And it was one of those just like, it was like, I mean, that's the thing, it was one of those just like, I didn't think this would ever happen, but I savored every minute of that shit.
No, that's
about Baltimore too. We're petty. We're petty as shit, and Baltimore's a small ass fucking city.
Oh,
and we're petty. So
yeah, like one of the things I joke about it, I'm a cusp, right? As we're recording this in December, my birthday is coming up in January, and I'm between Capricorn and Aquarius. So I have enough weirdo-ness as an Aquarius, but I have enough pettiness as a Capricorn. So, please believe, when there are some people that have been unkind, and I won't put them out there publicly because that's, not really my style. But when I stroll by and I see
they know.
Yeah, when I see there's an L there, that's happening, how unfortunate your business shut down. I laugh like a villain. I laugh like Dick Dastardly. That's what I do. And
dude, I tell you what. Over the years, I've started my fuck you laugh has gotten so much weird now. It's gotten full Skeletor, which is that's not even on purpose. I maliciously sound like a fucking Filmation Hanna-Barbera cartoon villain when I laugh out, and that's not on purpose. That's just how my brain has evolved. I'm like, it's fucking this. Hey, smoking Vincent Price over there. I'm like, that's just me. This is my life now. This is what I do. It's weird. I know.
You met her. My partner, she looks at me when she's like, why are you snickering? I was like, because I see someone failing. She's like, wow. Mm-hmm. And she was like, is it just straight up that way? I was like, no, it's never that way. I always come in with kindness. I always come in with, how can I help? But then when it flips and I see that, either the person just, is not accepting of the idea, but more so they're actively rejecting the idea and telling me I'm kind of stupid for proposing it. I'm like, okay, cool. Vaya con Dios. Let's see what happens. And it's rare that I'm wrong. And I'm not trying to be a dick about it. It's rare that I'm wrong because I observed.
I hate being right, but I love it when I'm not wrong. It's just one of those I remember being a kid. I remember when the movie Very Bad Things came out,
Yeah, yeah.
very dark comedy movie, and there was a one scene where Daniel Stern gets hit by the minivan, and I started laughing harder than than De Niro did in Cape Fear, the movie theater scene. I was like, I can't be a bad person. It's like, no, it just makes you laugh at the human condition. And with that, what you said with you, it's just like, when you watch someone like that, wants some bullshit and they fucking fall on their face, you gotta use the kids saying, go, well, it'd be like that. It'd be like that. Womp womp.
So let me see. I got two more real questions here that I want to key in on, and then I got these rapid fire questions for you. So here's one of them. This one is always interesting to me.
Okay.
Because it took me a long time. Like you're a few years older than me, but we're in the same age group. Like I'm 30. I'll be 38 in January, and the thing that I run into is, in being a podcaster for almost 14 years really. And it's like you try to find who your tribe is, who are your people. Tell me about what that was for you, like finding your tribe, finding the people, because you've touched on it a little bit of being in school and just having this sort of mischaracterization or this sort of you're not black enough because you're into these different things, or the other side of it where one of my good friends, he talks about getting scene checked. Oh, what do you know about this band? And it's like, I know a lot about Joy Division. Like, what do we want to hear about? What are we doing? And I don't fit it. I don't look like it. I look like just like a regular black dude, quote unquote. And then when they see like, oh, that's weird. Why are you into this? Why are you into that? So, finding my tribe is like, my tribe is a real weird mix of people. And I adore those people. And that's the people that I choose to spend time with because time is very precious. So tell me about that, like in finding your tribe and like some of that sort of trial and error, or was it always kind of an easy thing for you?
No, I got to tell you the truth. I mean, as far as that's actually a really good question. It's actually something I've discussed with a few people over the past few years or so. Now, what that is, there's three ways. One is just, just gallows humor. All three of them have a kind of gallows humor aspect to them. But the first is just basically just being in the same situation together. Where it's just like, well, fuck it. We're stuck here. We might as well just be nice to each other and just figure it out. And just meeting someone just off the cuff, just being like, we're in the same situation, like we're at this venue or this spot, and just go, you know what? That person right there looks somewhat decent. Let me just engage with them. Or someone would approach me and engage with me and just just making small talk, see what happens. Or because for me growing up, more than likely, because of TV shows and movies, pop culture references are always a shoe-in. Yeah. So you say something where someone goes, Mr. Show reference, and then you rip on that and just build from there. Or are you wearing a very rare joke shirt from some obscure late night movie from 19 blah blah? It's like that you're way too young for. It's like, yes, I am. You know what? You're my person now. We're gonna start talking about some dumb shit. Or as I got older, especially as far as living in Baltimore and going to shows and meet people, just do some casual observation. And it's Baltimore City being what it is. It's gonna be a little bit darker now, but unfortunately, I've through a lot of shared tragedy, shared trauma. So knowing people that have passed away over the years, and unfortunately seeing the same faces at the same funerals and the same receptions, and just and basically just that's that shared, really just a shared trauma of dealing with friends that have passed away, friends that have left us over the years, and it's you bond with each other over the shared tragedy, but then it's hey, I guess I'll see you at the next one, or I'll see you at the next one. And it's one of those, I've seen you at 4 different funerals. I don't even know your name yet. And just get to know each other through there. And just Baltimore has that weird connection where we've had a lot of just shared tragedy over our years between our social circles, regardless of where you're at. We're just oftentimes we have to just find these strangers and pull them with us, because it's you know what, we can't all be doing this individually all the time. We need to actually talk to someone or engage with someone in this and just, figure out where we are as ourselves, as just people floating around, like mourning this tragedy or, trying our best to not become that person ourselves. And just with that, I feel as though oftentimes a lot of our friendships, a lot of our true friendships in the city have actually been because not only because maybe our love of music or our love of like a certain cartoon or certain pop culture relevancy, but also is because of like a shared trauma, of a shared loss, or shared there's fun, but there's also there's a lot of sadness, and oftentimes it's us finding each other like sometimes in the worst way, but help build each other up. It's just like, what? Let's just be broken together, and like over time, that fracture heals, and you start building these great friendships, sometimes romances, but like this closeness, this connection with people that otherwise you would never know. But it's a curse and a blessing at the same time.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things where and I honestly do think it's something. I mean, I could be wrong, but in my mind, I think it's something that is very, very indicative of Baltimore City, Baltimore County, because we've got a lot of friends that have had so much talent, that have had so much creativity, that have passed away over like so many oftentimes preventable, sometimes not circumstances, but just like, well, what do we do now? Let's fucking let's just raise a glass, we'll be sad, but then tomorrow let's go skateboard together, or let's go to Crab Town or whatever, and just like you learn how to pick up and move on, and then this time you actually have like someone willing to pick you up in case you need it, and I think that actually does explain a lot of. To me, a lot of the friendships and bonds, and I know that with me, that definitely I met a lot more friends. It's talking about throughout our life also too. But then, during the sad moments, it's like, you know what? I didn't know you, you didn't know me, but you supported me and I support you, and now we're just tight. We're thick as thieves, and it goes to show that you have to always be appreciative of the people that come into your life, and just. Hey guys, normalize telling your friends you love them. It doesn't matter what context you like. Hey, you know what? I love you too, because tomorrow isn't fucking hell. Tonight isn't guaranteed. Shit. But just normalize telling your friends that you love them, and just reach out to your people. It doesn't have to be anything major. Just send a shitty meme. I mean, me and one of my best friends, he lives in Texas, and we've been best friends since for about almost 20 years. And we don't need to talk to each other. We don't see each other just dumb memes and a video someone being like, I love you too. And that's basically our love language. It's like Mr. Show quotes and the occasional homage to the East Side Morales. That is our love language. Just talking about this random dumb shit,
Yeah. That's a thing where I think, as you have more in doing this and as many interviews as I've done in this, there are certain people that I feel a certain kinship with, and you touched on a little bit there, where you might get an offhand reference. You're like, hold on, did you understand what I meant there? Or I'll say something that's definitely like wrestling parlance, I was marking out. They're like, yeah, I get that, hell yeah, bro. And I'm like, yeah. Or even when I did this creative mornings talk, and I mentioned when I got fired from a job, I felt like Joe Pesci's character from Goodfellas, and some of the people that marked out about it, I was like, yeah, I felt like I was going into a side room and I got whacked professionally. And they're like, yeah, that's really funny. And I was like, yeah, these are likely people who I could have a drink with or continue this sort of thing with, but it's a passive sort of vetting and filtering system. It's like, oh, you get it. That's the thing I say all the time. Like, oh yeah, you get it. And not everybody does that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think that's another thing too. That you are absolutely right about that. That's definitely a thing where it's like we're just like, you make a certain comment, if someone over here goes, yeah, I get that. It's like that. That's real. It's like, thank you. So you're on that level of it's nothing particular, but you get the gist of it, so you understand. It's like I may lose maybe 40, 50 people. I think that one person is just like, I absolutely understand everything that you just said right now. It sounds really weird or vague, but I get it. It's like, there you go. That's who are you? And now we're best friends.
It's affirming and it's confirmation. And I'll make a reference here because he and I, the fictional character and I, share the same birthday. Hannibal Lecter in the show Lecter, said, "Will, friendship is a rare gift." Yes, it's really true to me. And I think, you share a lot of different stuff, and it's just one of those things to be mindful and cognizant of, especially with this notion of time, right? Where you don't have a lot, you don't have a lot of resources, but if you have like one or two people that you're like, yeah, I can rock with this person. Like, yo, I want to go get some coffee to do something stupid for like an hour. You down? Oh yeah. And it's no weird sort of, I can't do this for X, Y, and Z. That's what I'm really into. That's what I really dig. And, there are things that people just won't get sometimes. And you're like, well, I get it. I get it. And I just need someone to bounce the idea off and roll with it. So that's what it is, man.
Now I got lean with it, rock with it in my head. So lean with it, rock with it, lean with it, rock with it.
Nice.
I hope that gets that sample gets cleared. But yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, for example, like me, I have the same birthday as Jim Davis, creator of Garfield, and like for me and him, it's like Jim Davis. I'm like, Mondays are always been cool. Tuesdays are assholes, but Mondays are always cool. That's my big disagreement. I'm like, lasagna is a decent meal. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on lasagna, literally or figuratively. That would just be weird. But I'm just saying, fuck a Tuesday. Moving forward. Sorry, just had to get out of my chest.
Tuesdays
Jerrod
in perpetuity.
Bronson hates Tuesdays. All Tuesdays is bastards. ATAB.
It's all types of Leo energy coming off of you. It's really funny, actually.
Well, it's not so much Leo, but I am born in that cycle. But I say I'm like part Unicron, part three-legged dog, maybe a little bit about Fudgy the Whale, as far as making up my own astrology, because yeah, astrology is a thing. All right, but no, moving forward.
So actually, you got the last thing in there. So I think that's all of the real questions, and I can go into these rapid fire ones. So brevity is key here. We don't like to overthink these, but I think I got some good ones for you.
Thinking? Who said thinking? I wasn't thinking any of this. I was going by this natural response system.
Going by the seat of my pants. I'm white knuckling it here. So here's the first one.
Girl,
Here's the first one. What was the last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched was Barbarian.
What'd you think?
Barbarian was the last. I like. All right, so Barbarian to me was a great movie, except for one scene that just had me just stop and just go, "Come on, really?" And I call it the Kool-Aid Man scene. And if anyone has seen the movie, they understand what I mean by that statement.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I would have. It needed a different title. The movie needed a different title. Yeah, I liked it. Like,
that's the one thing that got me. I liked the movie a lot, except for that Kool-Aid Man scene, which is like, oh, come on, really? But that's the only thing that kind of got me out of the movie. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it overall.
That's towards the end of the movie. That's really funny. There is this thing where when you I watch a lot of horror movies with my partner, and like we got Shudder, we're on Deckington, and I remember when we watched Malignant, and at a point I was like, oh, this is just a bad movie. And she audibly laughed like super loud. It was like I had that realization, especially when, the jail scene when all the minorities are being beat up. And I'm like, oh, this is what this is. Course. This is terrible. But as a bad action comedy, this is hilarious.
And that's the thing. It's like for me, for horror movies, for this, my favorite horror movie is honestly The Strangers. The Strangers because with most horror movies, like I used to be scared of horror movies as a kid. Like I used to be scared shitless of horror movies. Like even playing the Thriller music video near me, I would butt in hide as a little kid. Mm-hmm. But as I got older, what got me is that watching a horror movie and trying to immerse yourself in that film. What gets me is the soundtrack, even though it can be really good, will pull me away from the actual from the horror and from the grim parts. I'm just like, okay, this you hear the musical cue up, the musical part queued up. This is about to happen. There's gonna be a jump scare, this or that. So over time, I'm just going, what is this? This is basically just gore and bullshit. Until you see The Strangers, where there was no sound. Like anything you heard far as music in that movie was within the scene of the film.
Yep.
So actually hearing someone and actually like hearing like the trauma and like hearing like, you know, the scary, all that shit, like that's what really freaked me the fuck out. Cause it's like, also too, there's no monsters, there's no supernatural, it's just people. And people are the worst. So it's just like, why are you doing this? Because we can? That's just fucking creepy. That randomness? No, dog, that's no. Because that can literally be anytime, any day, any place. Like what Ice-T says, anyone can get it anytime. It's just like, yeah,
but
you're right. No,
that's up there though. That's up there as far as, you know, even with the long gestating like sequel, Pray at Night, which I like the soundtrack for that a lot, and I think it's a decent sequel with all of those years in between the first and then the second. Yeah, that movie actually does scare me in a very similar way to like Funny Games UK or any of those sort of home invasion, especially as like I live by myself, and every now and again I'm like, yo, did I lock that door? Am I bugging?
Dude, I live by myself. I lock my door when I sleep. It's like, you sleep with your door locked? I don't trust motherfuckers at all. Shit. I have a hatchet and I have a baton at my pillow at all times. Because why? I live in Baltimore City. I know what the fuck's going on with the world. Shit.
I remember it was a Hannibal Buress joke. He was like, I take poops with the door locked behind me. Because he was like, I don't know. He's like, it's a weird angle right there. I don't know. I don't want it. I don't want it happening.
He's right, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You're your most like vulnerable state. You're like in the middle of a, you know, an angry farmer, as I like to call it. And I don't know why I call it that, but that's what I do. So
our overalls is that you're being the overall cis. Let a man wear overalls in peace. Come on now.
What is generally the first thing that you think of in the morning when you wake up?
What the fuck was I dreaming about? Generally.
Same.
Like, it was, what the hell was that in my dream? Like, I had a dream actually, like, I actually had to start, like, doing some studying because, like, I woke up this morning having a dream about, like, somehow there was a courthouse in Baltimore that was decommissioned that became a venue called Second Stone. Yeah, it actually had a name, too. And I'm going, are there any, like, defunct courthouses in Baltimore City that are now nightclubs? And, like, Second Stone, I'm like, and why were the security guards like Migos? And it was just like, that's interesting. I'm gonna actually redraw the seal that I saw. And like, let's go. Like, that dream is very particular in very instances because I'll have like color, sound. I can read my dreams, and a few times in a creepier way. A few times I've had dreams just been like, "Hey, Jerrod, you should wake up right now." I'm just like, God damn, that was fucking weird. Like, I'll have very, very, very like vivid dreams, and it'll just be like, I was looking at this going, why the hell would I do that? Look at a dream I made a comment about on Facebook going, why the fuck would I move to Boston? That's where the cold lives. Why would I move there in January? Like, that's Jerrod, just drink some water and shut the fuck up for like 5 minutes. Just lay your head back down for another 10 and just figure out your life. Then you can get up, make some coffee, and go about your day. But yeah, oftentimes I'm just usually just more impressed and or confused by the things that come up in my subconscious.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to grab whatever that last thought was because like, oh, this like it's some occasions where I'll wake up in the middle of the night, have a notepad next to the bed, and it's like, here's some questions I need to ask somebody. Here's an idea. This was a weird dream. What is a blanket bear? Why are there racist blankets in this movie called Horror Noir? You know, things of that nature. If you haven't seen that movie, you should look it up. You know, there are Nazi blankets in it. There are Nazi blankets only attacking Black nonprofit owners. Just so you know. It's comedy.
Nazis are owning blankets now.
It's a lot.
Everything blankets, music.
It's a lot.
Hawaiian print shirts. Boneheads are just shit. God damn. But yeah, actually, also I'll get some cocktail ideas in my head too. Like, actually, I made a new cocktail, which I think you should try out sometime soon. It's a boozy Italian soda. So I've been using like deep eddy vodka or I'll use cherry vodka. Or just whatever type of flavored vodka, and then a club soda, and I'll use like rum chata. I know, actually, I'm just giving away like bar secrets, but trust me, I got plenty more. Y'all some can have that one. I got plenty others, but yeah, just that with like rum chata. It's like, that's mean a boozy Italian soda. I'm not even trying anymore. I just create excellence. That's what I do. How I know.
I'll definitely pop over and try it. I'm here for it. I got 3 more. This one is ridiculous. What would be your wrestling name?
Oh shit! I had this. Oh god, hold on. So, okay. So I have three. So one would be Sterling Aubergine.
Okay.
That would be like my business heel, like kind of like a shittier David Otunga, but Sterling Aubergine, like like CPA or some shit like that, which is like
That's
I'm gonna
great.
deduct this ass whooping from your win loss record and tell you what's what. One was actually a very intricate story that so me and a couple of friends would just make up stories at bars. Like there would be full out lies, but you see like how far you get someone actually into believing you, and see like how far you go with convincing them that this story was true where it wasn't. Or it's just like, yeah, back in middle school we used to do backyard wrestling. I went by the name of Brown Bomber, and one day I was doing a move, I was doing a flying elbow, and I hit this kid really badly, and they actually had a arrhythmia, and they're okay now. But I elbowed the kid a little bit, just right on his chest, where I should have been like a little bit off. My aim was off, and the kid got hurt really, really badly, and I stopped doing wrestling. Is that true? No, I'm lying to you right now. That's actually a whole fucking lie. But you believed me, like just some bullshit like that. So that was my fictitious story, young wrestling name, Brown Bomber, and then the third one would just be Hannibal Flex.
Nice.
And Hannibal Flex would just be me riding basically just a makeshift elephant, like a fake elephant, and just basically just being like a rude boy, just being a towering mass of just masculine flesh.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. One of my buddies, when we did this review of Predator, shout out to Dom, he was like, yeah, it's just a meat movie. He's like, just meat slapping meat. And I was like, that is just hilarious. So this one I think you'll be really good at. What's one rumor that you would like to start?
Oh god, that's a good one. Well, how can I put this? I can't fully say that we were the source of this, but I do remember around the time of this rumor actually being started back years and years and years ago, there were two young kids on AOL Instant Messenger in Owings Mills, Maryland, that might have made the comment that Marilyn Manson was Paul Pfeiffer from the Wonder Years. I can either confirm or deny those allegations that I may have something to do with that, but some things would have happened. But another rumor I would say probably was a good rumor. Huh? I would say that Hanna-Barbera at one point did try and make a full cartoon based upon the life and times of Biz Markie.
Okay, that
but
actually.
The only reason, but they didn't do it only because there was a discussion about money.
I want to be paid for this compensation because you got what I need.
Exactly. The Diabolical Adventures of Biz Markie. See?
Oh my God, I want that to happen. He's just like a mad scientist, and kids are trying to
happen.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
Make the music with your mouth, Biz. Indubitably. That would be fantastic. That would have been fantastic. Rest in peace, Biz Markie, of course. But that would just have been perfect. Mm-hmm.
That was
good. Thank you.
That's actually the first time I think I've asked that question and got like an actual answer. Usually people are like, I don't know. It's like, no. You theater of mind. And lastly, that's the last one I got for you, since you were doing the thing that I do. You were making coffee before you got started. How do you take your coffee?
Black as hell.
As you should. I troll white people by asking for coffee the color of different black celebrities. Yeah.
I want my coffee to be blacker than the fourth pirate from Captain Phillips. Basically, that's how I enjoy my coffee.
I was like, yo, can I get it like Bob Marley? Like, it's kind of light, it's coconut milk in it, something that feels Caribbean. And like, I get that. That is so ridiculous. It's such a weird way to order coffee. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that in February. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if people get weird. I'm going to see what happens.
I think get like a Thin Lizzy coffee. What's a Thin Lizzy coffee? Like Phil Lynott. We know it's Phil Lynott. Basically coffee with a lot of cream and a little bit of Irish whiskey.
Nice. Nice.
It's just there you go.
So So with that, one, I want to thank you for coming onto this podcast and spending a yarn with me. It was like a pleasure, a lot of fun. And two, I want to invite and encourage you to tell the folks where to check you out on the IG and all of that good stuff, and where to try some of your delicious cocktails.
Yeah, well, actually, so again, like I put together. First off, thank you for having me. I know we've been like working on this for a long time now, so I'm glad we finally got a chance to actually finally be able to talk and catch up and chop it up and actually just engage in conversation. I've had a lot of fun, so thank you for having me on. I'm on Instagram as Triumphs Reviews Burning, and I still. Actually, I'm going to start doing my syrups again for the holiday season. There'll be Dr. Bronson's Elixirs, which was basically me kind of like, making a little bit of like a slight twist on the Dr. Bronners. So that's the whole origin story of that, in like, 3 simple words. So Dr. Bronson's Elixirs. And then I always host Metal Monday at Autobar every Monday night from 9 o'clock to close. 21 up, come on through. Have some cocktails, listen to some awesome music. We have guest DJs, movies. We always show Monday Night Raw Wrestling for the first half, and then from there we just watch dumb shit, play pool, hang out, talk shit, and have a good time. Other than that, like I work at Dangerously Delicious Pie Shop in Hamden, owned by Rodney Henry. I'm one of my popes, rock and roll, pie style all day. I'm there on weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday days from 11 to 4. And within that, I'm just usually working about, currently working on some new music project ideas, still writing. I still write poetry and prose and everything, working on, arranging a book at some point together. And then just basically doing what I do, where I just kind of like spend my downtime going, what can I create? What can I do? Because as I've gotten older now, it's just one of the things where like which is something that it took me a while to believe in myself, and just I want the listeners to know also, it's never too late to try new ideas for yourself, to cultivate yourself. So either like writing or music or poetry or dance or what have you, just there's never too late to invest, indulge in any type of artistic endeavors that might help to like, craft and cultivate you. So just there's never time to not just work on you. Just never stay stasis. Always move forward, create, cultivate, thrive and design. Just always keep grinding. Just keep doing new shit.
That's great. And that's where we'll end at. So I want to again thank Jerrod Bronson for coming on to the podcast. And I'm Rob Lee, saying there's arts, culture, and maybe a few cocktails here and there in and around Baltimore. You just got to look for them.